Geetam University is one of the very well-established universities in India. GSPT offers world-class higher education in physiotherapy with many brilliant features. I'm Dr. Anishma Chungat, and I will be the moderator for today's session. I've done my master's in physiotherapy in the area of neurology, and I'm working as an assistant professor at Geetam School of Physiotherapy. So before we start off today's discussion, I would like to ask you to reflect upon certain points. Is your work environment safe? Do you feel physically fit for your work? Do you feel tired and drained by the end of the day because of your work setup? Are you able to give 100% of yourself at work because of your workstation and at home after work? Is your answer no for at least one of the questions above? Then today's webinar will be very beneficial to you. Ergonomics discusses on how to make your work environment safe and harmonious by allowing you to perform your best at work every day. Physiotherapists assess fitness of a person to the work and the workstation's appropriateness to the person. We offer solutions to improve overall healthy work life and thereby productivity. Physiotherapists are not just bound for educational institutions or clinical settings or hospitals alone anymore. Physiotherapist plays a vast role, whether it's a small scale, medium scale, or a large scale industry, or even to simply start off work from home. So today's webinar is going to be led by Dr. Sudhir Yeramali. Dr. Sudhir has completed his bachelor's in physiotherapy from Visakhapatnam in the year 2005 and has pursued his post-graduation in musculoskeletal rehabilitation from England in 2008. He has been working in a clinical setup ever since and has an experience of over 13 years as a physiotherapist. Currently, he is working as the chief physiotherapist in the clinical department at Jimsar Hospital since 2014 and as an assistant professor with Geetam School of Physiotherapy. His area of interest is shoulder rehabilitation. So without any further delay, I would like to request Dr. Sudhir to kindly take over the platform and enlighten us regarding today's topic. Also, I would request all participants that any queries can be put in the chat box and the speaker will be addressing it at the end of the session. Over to you, Sudhir, sir.
Thank you, Anishma, for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. I hope you all have had a great day. Well, today's topic is all about ergonomics and physiotherapy. So by the end of this session, this webinar, what can we expect for you to take home along with you? You should be able to identify the difference between the incorrect and the correct posture of the body. You will understand the importance of designing your workstation to reduce pain or any discomfort, which will help increase your productivity at work. You will learn to perform simple, relaxing, and warm-up exercises to ease the strain of your body. So just to confirm once again, this is a very basic introduction about the ergonomics and the physiotherapy. As we all know that ergonomics is a very vast topic can be spoken for hours altogether. So in this webinar, we will just learn about the basics of ergonomics and what physiotherapy a physiotherapist can do in ergonomics. So before we can start off this session, I would like to just play a consultation which I had with the patient. Very good morning. What's your name?
Samhit.
Samhit, what brings you to clinic today?
So there is severe neck pain.
Okay, since how many days?
From last 6 months.
Last 6 months. So before the neck pain started, have you had any injury or fall?
No, sir.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Okay. And have you ever had this neck pain in the past before 6 months?
Sir, actually I am having a discomfort over the past 1 year.
Past 1 year. Okay. Now coming to your occupation, what do you do for a living?
I am a software engineer.
Software engineer. So how many hours do you spend in front of your computer or laptop every day?
Nearly 8 to 10 hours.
8 to 10 hours. Okay. And have you always been in this profession?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, so do you have the pain only around in the neck region, or do you have any pain going into your hands?
No, sir.
There is no any shooting pain, nothing like that. Okay. Now, you said you're a software engineer and you're spending long hours in front of your computer or laptop. Now, what I want to ask you is that, as of now, are you going to office or are you working from home?
Due to this COVID situation, from last 1 year, I'm working from home.
You're working from home, okay. And at your home, do you have a proper workstation? Do you have a table and desk and chair or something like that?
No, sir. Maximum I use sofa or bed. Sometimes I lie down.
Okay, so you mostly work in front on the sofa or on the bed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is no proper desk and chair.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, so when you work on the sofa, for example, so do you know, I mean, how much of bad biomechanics happening on your neck and your back?
No, sir.
No, okay. So it's very important, Samhit. I think the most important factor over here is that you're working long hours in front of computer, okay, and you don't have a proper workstation at home, obviously. And one of the most important contributing factor for your neck pain here is that you have to spend long hours. And so when you're working on the sofa, let's say for example, you have a small, let's say a table in the living room, okay? And it definitely will not be onto your height of your chest level, okay? It will be onto the level of the sofa itself, okay? That's how the design is in the living room. So what happens is when you do that, you have to forward bend a lot, okay? And you have to strain your neck so that you will be able to look into your laptop, okay? And all we can do is that you can just bend the laptop forward and backward, but you can't really do much anything about it to adjust the height, okay? So because of the improper distance between the eyes and the laptop screen, okay, so you're straining your neck a lot. And you also said sometimes you work on the bed. Obviously on the bed, either you'll be sitting and your legs folded or you'll be lying down, right? So even in this particular posture also, there is heavy there are good amount of chances that you are ending up straining your neck repeatedly. And since because of the COVID situation, you're not able to go to office, repeatedly there is continuous strain on the neck because of your improper posture and improper workstation at your home. Okay, that is the reason you're complaining of neck pain is what I feel. But upon further examination, we will try to check, we will try to understand, is there any other contributing factor for your neck pain? All right. So that consultation is all about a software engineer approaching a physiotherapist complaining about neck pain. So we just dig into the information as in what profession he is into, where does he work, is he working from home or is he at his office, and how is the workstation designed for him? Is it like, at an appropriate level and height and everything? So the patient has given some information for us, and as a physiotherapist, we dig in with more further questions. We dig into the history of the present illness. Now, coming to the introduction of the webinar, whether we work from home or we work in an institution or in an industry or in a laboratory, it is important to perform the task productively by keeping ourselves safe and sound. Right? It is where ergonomics plays an important role to maintain the individual's well-being, thereby making the workplace harmonious, which improves the productivity. Unless we are really comfortable in the position where we work, we will not be able to give 100% to the work we do. And unless we give 100% of our work at the office or an institution, you will not be having an expected growth personally and professionally as well. Now, what exactly is this ergonomics it's all about? It is a study of people's efficiency in their working environment. Right. Now, what physiotherapy is all about? According to the World Health Organization, a physiotherapist assesses and implements treatment plan to improve the motor functions of the human, and also to improve the joint range functionality, to relieve any kind of pain, any musculoskeletal pain, and also to treat and also to help prevent any physical challenges associated with injuries, diseases, and other impairments. What is the necessity to have this ergonomic assessment and ergonomics at office environment. Ergonomic assessment is aimed at reducing the risk of injury within the workplace, as elimination can be impossible. All the workplaces will benefit from an ergonomic workplace assessment. There are many benefits from which we can get through ergonomic assessment, which is done by a physiotherapist. Let's take a look at a few examples over here. What benefits can we get? The most important thing is that reduction in the sick leave, the number of sick leaves we can apply for by not feeling well all the time. All right. And also it will help improve the staff morale will improve as the correct appropriate equipment has been provided for the job. Unless we have the proper equipment, proper station, you will not be able to give 100% at your work. And also staff will suffer less musculoskeletal injuries. We will see further as we go ahead in the webinar what kind of injuries can an individual be prone to at work. Work efficiency can also improve with the correct tools for the job. And the most important thing is it's cost effective. Lesser the sick leaves applied by the staff, and that will actually directly proportional to temporary staff cover needed, which means for the industry where we work, it definitely reduces the cost. And the above mentioned are just a few of the benefits of ergonomic workplace assessments. And if the recommendation of the ergonomic assessment are taken, the company can benefit financially in the long term. Now, where can we implement this ergonomic assessment? We can start off from home itself, and then we can go to educational institutions, that might be schools, colleges, universities, etc. And then we can talk about industries, corporate offices, laboratories, etc. Now, before we go to the next slide, why don't we just have a look at some examples of the professions where we have taken a few clicks of the different kinds of professions and how the employees are positioned at their workstations, along with the images and also videos. Over here, we can see a doctor working in a hematology lab, working for long hours under the microscope. And then we have an ophthalmologist working in front of her ophthalmoscope, examining patients continuously for 9 hours in a day. And then we have a pharmacist trying to shelf the medicines and everything in the pharmacy. And then we have the nursing station. We can see how they're positioned at the work. And then we have a ward boy carrying, transporting the oxygen cylinder in the emergency ward. And again, we also have a pharmacist trying to reach out for medicines which are placed at the higher shelves. So over here, we can see individual workstation designed for specific work, depending upon the nature of the work and what kind of precautions they might have to take and how their body is placed and all these things. Now, ergonomic assessment and physiotherapy. An ergonomic assessment is an assessment of a person working environment, ensuring it is fit for use. So it is not just the individual we assess over here. The most important part in ergonomic assessment is that we assess the person along with the workstation where he works at, just to make sure his fitness is not affected. And it instead helps in performing better at work. Physiotherapists are ideal professionals to conduct an ergonomic assessment as they have the knowledge of biomechanical functions of the body and the effect different stresses can have on it. As you know, that one of the most important aspects the physiotherapist deals with is the joints. Joints are controlled by muscles. So every joint, we have a movement at every joint, and this movement is controlled and performed by muscles and other soft tissues around the joint. So how the joint moves, what is required for the joint functionality. So all these factors are well studied and well versed by a physiotherapist. Hence, I would say physiotherapists are ideal professional to conduct an ergonomic assessment. What do the physiotherapists assess exactly? So an ergonomic assessment, it will include the physiotherapist assessing the environment the staff work in and the staff themselves. This can include starting with the desk area. Is there enough room for the person to sit? Is there enough room for the person to move around at his workstation itself? Are the chairs adjustable appropriately according to the height of the individual? And are the staff aware of how to adjust the workstation, moving the computer maybe, or moving the microscope, or moving the chair appropriately around the workstation? And analysis of the working duties, which is nothing but to identify the fitness of an individual. Is this particular person suitable to lift, to forward bend and to lift heavy weights, or whether this person is capable of performing a specific repetitive activity. Let's say, for example, domestic staff or the cleaning staff. Their function is mainly at work is to keep the premises neat and tidy. Repeatedly, they need to sweep the premises, they need to mop the premises, which means they actually use more of their shoulder joints along with the trunk. So are they fit to perform such kind of duties at work? And then assessment of the tools provided for the job and the appropriateness. Example, kneeling pads or machinery, gloves, uniform, shoes, headset telephones, etc. And other staff trained to do their job, as I said, for example, is manual handling. And then the body positioning of the staff, which is called staff postures. And how does the physiotherapist carry this ergonomic assessment? We can categorize this assessment process into 3 steps. The first being subjective assessment. In this subjective assessment, it is carried privately with an individual where he is taken away from the workstation from other employees to discuss about the kind of the job, the nature of the job he does, and how the workstation is helping him, or it is demotivating him at work, or is it actually really helpful for him to perform better at work, or are there any additional problems at the workstation? This is called subjective assessment. Now coming to objective assessment, this is actually carried at the individual's workstation itself. So we will be interacting with the person while he is working at this workstation. So we'll observe what kind of a task he needs to perform repeatedly, and what kind of an equipment he needs to use, how he needs to use his upper limbs or maybe lower limbs. So all this particular task we observe, and then we come to an introspection. After the introspection, we come to an understanding. Okay, this particular person is performing this role at his work. So what needs to be taken care of, what needs to be developed, or is everything correct? So over here, we are not only here to point out what is lacking at the workstation, but also to identify what best is available for the individuals as well. So the physiotherapist will then discuss potential methods or equipment to reduce the risk of the individual. Now, after the finishing of subjective and objective assessment, we provide an ergonomic assessment report. What does this report contain? It is given following the assessment, as I said, and this report includes the findings which we observed during the assessment process and what problems are raised by the employee himself, or the observations which a physiotherapist has made at the individual's workstation, and also what actions are required to take care, as in to get better productivity. And also it is not always about productivity. The first most important thing is that, is our employee safe? Is he being taken care at his workstation? And also the methods in which to reduce the risk for the employees. If equipment is recommended, supplies will also be included in this ergonomic assessment. Let's have a look at some of the clinical condition examples which can be commonly seen in work environment. As we can see, when we get a sick leave, for example, from the employee, the reason for the sick leave, some complain of low back pain, some complain of neck pain, some complain of carpal tunnel syndrome, which is a compression of the medial nerve at the wrist joint because of repeated usage of the wrist in an improperly kept position on the computer desk. And some might develop inguinal hernia. It is because of the weakened musculature in the inner region of the thigh. And then we have trigger finger. We have spondylosis, nothing but degeneration of the vertebral column. It's called spondylosis. And we have olecranon bursitis. You can see the posture of the way I am sitting as of now. My left elbow is actually rested on the handle of the chair. Over here, I'm actually exposed to repeated friction and pressure over here under my elbow, which is actually causing friction to the bursa called olecranon bursa. In this position, we actually commonly seen in colleges or schools or institutions, because this is how most students, they tend to sit in the class during a lecture. And then we have osteoarthrosis, simply arthritis of the knee joint or hip joint. And we have a prolapsed intervertebral disc. And then we have other injuries of the soft tissues like rotator cuff tear, etc. Now, So depending upon the kind of profession a person chooses, he might have to stand for longer hours. He might have to sit for longer hours. He might have to go up and down the staircase repeatedly. He might have to forward bend and lift heavy boxes repeatedly, or he might have to use the upper body more than the lower body as the nature of the work demands. Let's take an example when you are standing for longer duration. So over here, our target group can be teachers, lecturers, or any faculty of assistant, associate, or associate professors who tend to stand longer duration, longer hours when they're giving lectures. So when you are actually uh, positioned in prolonged standing, what are the common areas where stresses fall upon in the body? We have lower back. The marker over there, it's showing at a place where the lumbar vertebrae and the sacrum, they take a small curve, which is called as lumbosacral junction. That is the point where most of the impact happens. And then we have the knee joints. The entire upper body weight is falling onto the trunk and then to the hips and then to the knees. And then it is carried on to the heels. So prolonged standing can lead to pain or discomfort in these areas of low back, knee joints, and the heels, ankle joints. Now let's take a look at an incorrect posture and a correct posture. Some people actually might feel comfortable looking at the incorrect posture because it's quite, forward bend. But I would say over here, the person actually has bent a lot from his vertebral column and is leaned forward onto the laptop while he's working. So over here, he's straining his low back and he's straining his neck and he's straining his eyes to look at the monitor so close. And also he's got his shoulders completely congested. And if you can look at the wrists, they are completely, in a mid-flexion, and where the pressure is falling upon the wrist joint. This is where we have some few important sensitive structures, including the nerves. And over here on the right side, we can see the correct posture. He's maintaining his spine straight, erect, and he's got a good eye contact between the eyes and the laptop screen. And his shoulders, forearms, and the wrists are well placed on the desk. So we have three examples over here where a person can stand incorrectly. The first one, as you can see, he's bent his knee joint, flexed his knee joints, and then lurching his spine forward, shoulders slightly rounded, which you can call this as protracted in medical language, and neck also slightly bent forward. In this particular position, there are very abnormal forces acting upon all the joints in the individual. And the second posture, if you can see, upper limbs might seem positioned well, but if you can see, there is a slight extension in the neck. And also he is actually pushing his pelvis forward anteriorly, thereby causing excessive extension of the hip joint, thereby causing extension of the knee joint. So the entire biomechanics below the pelvis is completely affected over here. And at the same time, even the junction where the lumbar spine and the sacrum is also located, which is the lumbosacral junction, that is also has been exposed for inconvenient forces. And the third posture over here, he's got his shoulders rounded again, okay? And again, he's bent his hip and knee to a slight flexion, and then shoulders hanging onto his side, protracted, and both the forearms brought forward. And this is also another example for the back posture. Let's have a look at a couple of videos as in how to lift a box in a safe way, and what is the correct way and what is the incorrect way. So by doing so, as you can see, the lady over here, she tried to bend from the spine directly, and then she tried to lift the box, thereby straining her low back, which is when she complained of muscle catch in the low back. And what is the right way to lift a box? You don't really directly bend from the trunk, from the spine. You bend down from your hip and knee joints, and then place your hands safely onto the either side of the box, and then you lift it up and place it in the shelf wherever you want to. Now, what are the outcomes of the ergonomic assessment? So the outcome of an ergonomic assessment will include a report listing the recommendations the physiotherapist feels appropriate, and the report might include list of any replacement or additional or repairs to any equipment that is necessary to improve the ergonomics, or advising on any additional training required for the staff, which would benefit their health from example, how to handle a machinery or how to handle a fire, like for example, conducting a fire drill, how to handle a fire extinguisher, right? And then recommendations to reduce the strain of repetitive tasks. When we perform a specific task repeatedly, definitely there will be repeated wear and tear at the involved joints and muscles. And then recommendations to the staff on ways to improve their working postures, as we just saw in the previous slides. What is the right way to stand? What is the right way to sit? What is the wrong, incorrect way of standing and sitting and bending forward to do any activities? And also to provide manual handling courses for the staff, which is very important. And positives which have been found in the workplace will also be documented. Conclusion of the ergonomic assessment. Ergonomic workplace assessments are assessments of a person's working environment. The aim of this assessment is to minimize and reduce the risk of injury to an employee and harm, of course, coming to the staff working there. There are many benefits to both the employee and the employer. How does the employee get benefited over here? So the risk of injury is being reduced or minimized or almost removed by taking care of the workstation and everything. And at the same time, the number of leaves applied by the employee will be reduced. And if he's actually sound, if he's carrying a sound health and a fit body to perform his role at the work, which means that he is doing better at the job, which means he's very close to get promotions or maybe like increments in his salaries and everything. And how does the employer benefit? If the employee is doing good, employer is also benefited directly. They both are directly proportional to each other. And most importantly, financial savings and improved staff morale is one of the important benefits for the employer. And I'm very glad to say that Geetham University has implemented a couple of these ergonomic assessments and tools, thereby, especially by assisting the domestic staff when they, instead of using the broomstick or a mop stick, we do have automated machines actually, thereby, it helps in cleaning the floors, mopping the floors automatically. And in the same way, the seating arrangement for the employees in the labs or in the faculty chambers, they are actually well adjusted according to the height of the person. And many of such things are implemented in the Geetham University. Now let's see, again, coming back to a person who needs to stand, for example, for longer duration or forward bend and perform his role at work. How can he simply quickly relax his legs? So by performing these exercises, the individual will benefit from a quicker relaxation. Let's have a look at that. So over here, the individual is sitting in a high-end area and then knees hanging freely. He starts swinging the knees and then slowly leaves them to the gravitational force. And as we keep swinging that, automatically the quadriceps and the hamstring muscle relaxes. And then next, he's actually trying to relax his ankle joints by moving the ankle up and down and then moving it forward, clockwise and anti-clockwise rotations. You can perform this activity, before the work, during the work, and after the work as well, which will help ease your joints and the muscles. Now let's take a look. So by the end of the webinar, I would like to provide you guys some warm-up exercises which you can perform before going to work and in between the work and after the work. So with the help of these stretches and the warm-up exercises, you will be able to ease your joints and muscles, thereby making your day, giving your day a better start and a better end. So initially he tried to warm up his legs with the hip and knee bendings. and then he tried to work out his torso, give it a small mild stretches, and then side bending. And now he's stretching his upper limbs completely. And now he's trying to stretch his triceps on both the sides. And now he's stretching his biceps, which is the arm muscle, anterior aspect of the arm. And now he's trying to stretch his forearm muscles, which are useful in the finger and wrist flexion, and the extensors of the wrist and fingers. And by sitting in a comfortable height, the individual tries to bend forward completely so that he's giving a firm stretch to the posterior muscles of the vertebral column. And now he's giving a backward bend, which helps stretching his anterior muscles of the abdomen. You can say abdominals. And now he's relaxing his palm and the fingers and slowly massaging his forehead and his eyes. This technique can be performed, and each movement can be performed by holding for 3 to 5 count and 3 repetitions each one. It hardly takes few minutes, and it will, I'm sure it will help your day go at ease. Now coming to Geetam School of Physiotherapy, as you know that Geetam is offering a 4-year professional program with mandatory additional 6-month internship. And the admission eligibility for this course is a minimum of 60% or 6.0 GCPA score. And then the subjects the student needs to be studied in the in his +1, +2 will be biology, physics, chemistry, and English. And it should be from a recognized university or institute and qualifying rank in GAT, which is Geetam Admission Test 2021 or NEET 2021. And do we have any scholarship for this program? Yes, of course. We do offer a wide range of scholarships. The merit scholarships up to 100% available are based upon the Geetam entrance test or NEET ranks. And we also have an exciting sports scholarship also is available for the students. Anishma, would you like to take over the Q&A session, please?
Thank you, sir. I would
Thank
like to inform the participants that the session for the Q&A is open. So if you have any doubts relating to the session sir has taken or regarding the admissions, you can please enter your messages into the chat box and we'll try to answer as many as possible. Meanwhile, I've already received certain questions. Sir, if you don't mind, can I ask from behalf of the participants?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, the first question would be what basic exercise can be performed while sitting in a workplace?
Okay, as you can see, in sitting position, whatever exercises I've shown in the last video, which is the warm up and mild stretches, we can perform. We can start off working with the, let's say, for example, forward bending. We can do the backward bending in sitting position. We can start with the tricep stretching. We can do the bicep stretching, and we can do the finger and wrist extensor stretching, flexors, and the extensor stretching as well. And we can do a clockwise rotation of the rotation forward and the backward rotation of the fingers and wrist joint. And fine movements of the fingers also will help relax the intrinsic muscles of the hand. And at the same time, we can start exercising your eyes as well to relax, and your neck. Like for example, forward bend your neck, relaxed, and then extend your neck backwards. We can perform this 3 to 5 times, and then slowly move your neck right ways, and then the left ways. And then you can also move your neck into right side bending, and then left lateral bending as well. And also you can perform a complete clockwise and anti-clockwise rotations as well.
Okay, I'm sure it answers the question. The next question would be, is ergonomics a specialization of physiotherapy? Or do I have to do a separate certification for it?
Okay, ergonomics, it's completely a different branch of science. It is not a part of the physiotherapy itself, but ergonomics is an important topic covered in the physical therapy course. And if you want to become an ergonomic assessment performer, for example, as a physiotherapist, you will need to go through certain certification process, which as a student from the GSPT, we will be able to guide the students.
Okay. The next question is, I'm a fitness freak. I regularly do my exercises. So how important is ergonomics for me?
Okay, so fitness and work, they are two different things, because we do not work out considering by keeping in our mind what kind of a job we do, right? It is not always like that. Let's say, for example, an athlete or cricketer of any sports person, for example, whatever workouts they do it specific because of the endurance training or to build up their muscle strength or the muscle bulk in case of a weightlifters and everything. So there are some professions where workout needs to be specially and uniquely designed for the particular person. But if you're talking about general public, they simply go to the gym just to maintain their physical health and to build up the muscles, maybe to tone up the muscles. But when you're talking about workstation is totally different, because there is continuous and specific repetition of an activity at work which we tend to perform. So in general fitness, we might not focus entirely on that particular movement which we perform in daily life at work. So even though you're a fitness freak, I suggest you continue your regular fitness protocol which you actually have at gym. But along with that, I want you to emphasize specifically by considering the kind of job you do and what muscles and what kind of movements you perform, and basing on that particular movements, you can divide and train your muscles accordingly.
Yeah. Next question is, what causes inguinal hernia? Can you brief it, Dr. Sudhir?
Sure. Well, inguinal hernia is nothing but a weak. See, first of all, what is hernia? Hernia is nothing but protrusion of an organ from a weakened muscular region. It can happen in the abdominal region, in the groin region. Okay, it can happen in the pelvic region as well. Okay, so inguinal hernia is one of such kind of hernias where a weakening of the musculature of the inner thigh will cause protrusion of the organs inside that. Let's say, for example, in male, inguinal canal, there's something called inguinal canal. We have a very important part called a spermatic cord. So because of this inguinal hernia, the spermatic cord will tend to protrude out of the weakened muscular region. That's what is inguinal hernia is.
Yeah, the next question is, will the 4.5 years program include science of ergonomics?
Yes, definitely. We do have a module which covers talking about the ergonomics.
Yeah, okay. The next question is, how do we know when we need to consult a physiotherapist?
Okay. So if you remember the first consultation I have played in the webinar. So depending upon so let's say, for example, a person is like, has never had anything in the past. He's absolutely fit, as you said, for example, let's say, a student, okay, and he has been going to university for classes every day and he has no problem. He's placed in the 4th or 5th bench in the classroom, and he's got a very good distance between the blackboard and the sitting area where he is placed. And now, because of the COVID situation, let's talk about the students are actually forced to sit in front of the computers or mobiles or laptops. And so this is something which is like not the student is exposed to or got used to. This is totally new. His work environment can be called as his studying place. His studying place is what is now on the classroom. It is the home. It is the desk where he has his laptop on. So because of this continuous positioning of his body in front of a laptop or a mobile or a computer, what happens is that he's actually prone for unnecessary bad biomechanics or improper positioning of the body. Like, say, for example, straining the neck. Let's see, how the students are, they tend to sit like this, they tend to sit like this, So by doing so, they're repeatedly proning their body, different parts of the trunk and the neck and the back, for various bad forces. So they might start complaining of neck pain. And if this is severe, for example, they might even have a shooting pain going around the hand, which could be because of irritation of a nerve root coming from the cervical cord region. So something which is not there in the past, and it started after you started your new job or or a changing position in the workstation or the work environment or the role itself, then you might think of approaching a physiotherapist for proper assessment, and then he might be able to help you further.
Next question is keeping pillow behind the back during long sitting recommended?
Behind the lower back, you mean?
Yeah.
Definitely, because again, you see, there is something called as spinal curves. Okay, our vertebral column backbone is not placed straight like this. In the neck region, we have this kind of a particular, let's say, concavity, and then in the thoracic, in the upper trunk, we have the kyphosis. It's called as elevation, which is the convexity. And again, when it comes to the lower back, we have again lordosis. Okay, so some will have straightening of spine, some might have increasing this in this bent curvatures in the vertebral column. So it is individual specific. Okay, if the person has exaggerated lumbar lordosis, for example, which is the increased lordotic curve in the low back region, so they might definitely benefit by having a cushion which is placed appropriately, which is balancing the exaggerated curve in the spine. In the same way, pillow, actually, when we say pillow, everybody loves pillow when they sleep, right? They don't really know to what extent or to what height they need to have a pillow when they lie down. Okay, some have one, some have two, some have even three as well, like a pile of coins. So what is important is neck needs to be supported according to the curve we have in the cervical region. Okay, so I would say there are a wide range of cervical pillows in the market. You can definitely go for them, but again, they are not designed for individual needs. As I said, some might have increased curvature, some might have reduced curvatures, some might have straightening of the cervical spine completely. So basing upon this particular assessment of your vertebral column, we tend to decide whether the person will benefit by using a pillow under his head or in the low back region.
Okay, the next question is, does GSPT have labs for posture analysis?
We do not have it yet, okay, but definitely a gait lab, a posture analysis lab, all these labs are very soon, they will be starting at the GSPT.
Okay, a related question is, can I visit your labs in Geetham?
Definitely, please feel free to, you're more than welcome to come to Jimsur and the GSPT. We will be more than thrilled to give you a round around the School of Physiotherapy in Geetham.
Next question, ergonomics, which all will be useful in community-based rehabilitation, like how it will be helpful in the CBR settings.
Okay, see, community-based rehabilitation is the most important thing over here is that we tend to rehabilitate individuals when we approach community basing upon whatever is available at that particular point of time. Right. See, when in a clinical setting, it's totally different. And when we go to the community setting, it's totally different. Okay. So depending upon whatever is available, okay, let's say, for example, the simplest example I'll give you is that, let's say a person meets a road traffic accident and then he is prone with a fracture. Okay, so we tend to, in villages, for example, without even thinking about what they're doing, they do something, they use bamboo sticks maybe, or they use a kind of a slab which they design it by themselves so that they keep the limb immobilized, right? In the same way, we can use many tools and equipment with, for the community-based rehabilitation.
The next question is, my mom is a homemaker. Does ergonomics apply to her?
Definitely. Do you like your mom's food, Anishma? Does she cook well?
Yes.
So you want the dishes to be tasty as always, as every day, right?
Yes, yes.
So what is the most important thing over here is that we have to make sure all the dishes mom uses, like, they're in an adequate height for her to reach them easily.
Yeah.
So I think that answered the question.
Yeah. No, I think this is the last question. Can you please tell about the admission process for a physiotherapy course?
Okay. So we do have an exam, which is a GITAM entrance examination. Okay, and it's advertised on the GITAM website. So you just simply have to enroll in that, sign in that, and then you choose the date, whichever date is comfortable or convenient for you. And then you apply for the examination process. And depending upon the score you achieve in the exam, basing on that, the admission team will get in contact with you and they will explain. It all depends upon how much score you achieve in the entrance test or in the NEET examination. So basing on the score, we analyze to what extent you are actually eligible for the scholarships which we provide.
I think we have covered many questions, and
Okay.
I don't know if anyone wants to ask anything. I think that's it. We'll be ending the webinar by this.
Okay,
So thank you, sir. That would be the end of the Q&A session.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a wonderful and informative discussion, which will help us all improve our work productivity, keeping our health in mind. So now, as we come to the end of our session, I would like to thank our speaker, Dr. Sudeep, for giving us useful knowledge on such an interesting topic, which will help enlighten us to understand the importance of ergonomics and the scope of physiotherapy in society. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anishma. Thank you each and everyone for participating in this evening on this webinar. Thank you.
I would like to thank my colleagues and GITAM family for their support and participation. I also thank Dr. Madhuri Kasim Madam, our Director, GITAM School of Physiotherapy, and the whole of GITAM management who gave the opportunity to organize this webinar. And most importantly, I'd like to thank all the participants who attended this webinar. If you have any further queries regarding today's topic or the admissions, you can always visit our website and contact us directly. Wishing you all the very best and have a good evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.